Right, so I'll just go on with what this is relevant to Nottingham, but it will be relevant to wherever you come from as well. The same things will be happening. We have people that work for the City Council that know they're trying to bring in a dictatorship, and it looks like it's starting in Nottingham. We've been passed documents by members of the City Council that know what's going on. This basically says an example of how the egomaniac dictates, we are not all the same. If interested in further info, refer to this on Mickey Summers' Facebook page. This document was emailed to all the managers and whoever else got hold of it. I'll read it to you and you will see an absolute dictatorship is trying to be brought in Nottingham. This is a legitimate email sent around to all senior managers, directors and heads of services at the Nottingham City Council. This is a proposal from MCC leaders. The gist of this is that he wants to force citizens to register to vote before they can access non-statutory council services. You will be able to see this for yourselves. I've got plenty of other copies as well, so pass it around and read it. I will leave this in your capable hands. Do with it as you will. Dear colleagues, it was reported to CLT, I don't know who that is, last week that the leader of the council has requested an urgent report of Executive Board on 21st of July 2015, so this is coming up, to present options for linking the provisions of services to a requirement that the applicant for any services is registered to vote if eligible. So in other words, if you're not registered to vote, they're going to take everything off you. It's setting parameters for the report to board. Councillor Collins has stipulated that any proposal should be based on the following. Where we can legally link provisions of any services to the proof of residency in the city requirements, we will do so. Services should not see this as an optional extra, but as the council's default position. That in future, proof of residency must be that the citizen, if eligible, is registered to vote at the address provided. Exceptions to the proof of residency requirements would only be available via executive decision. In other words, they're the only ones that can say you're eligible if you're not registered. So it's a dictator saying, if you're not registered, I will tell you whether you're going to get any services or not. And where the exceptions are sought for legal reasons, this would need to be supported by unambiguous legal advice. Current discounts and incentives that are applied to services that are subject to residency in the city or which can be made subject to residency check are included in these proposals. Council is aware of provisions, previous concerns raised by service areas about this issue, i.e. that electrical registration might deter take-up of the services or impact on colleagues' time who would in future be required to check applicants' electoral registration status. These concerns will be addressed in preparing options for implementation. So they're going ahead with it no matter what you say. You're not getting a choice in this. This is a dictatorship. The executive is clear, however, that registering to vote is a legal requirement, that citizens should comply with that requirement, and that in making this change it will be clearer that services are provided for the benefit of city residents, and that as an obligation we encourage broad participation in democracy. In other words, if you don't register to vote democratically, we're going to force you to vote democratically. Does that sound very democratic to you all? Councillor? Right. The urgency in preparing a report for the July board meeting is that the annual canvass is about to begin and will run between August and November, with publications of the register on 1st of December. So in other words, they want this in by December, and they're implementing it in September and October. Operations will need to address how to achieve an increase in registration in time for the 1st of December register, and how communications and implementation of residency requirements should align with canvass activity. Now this is the bit where it gets real interesting. I would be grateful, therefore, if all service areas would supply email address nottingham.gov.uk, the information requested and attach a spreadsheet. No later than 8th of July. We got this on 9th of July. Please note that there is an exception by the executive. They call themselves the executive, they're just parasites living off us. That the report to board will specifically address how the residents' requirements, if possible, could be implemented in respect of the following services in particular, though this does not exclude all other service areas. What they're saying there is if you're not registered, we're going to stop these services. And these are the services they're planning on stopping, and if you've already got them, they're probably planning on getting you out of them. Housing. If you're in council housing, well, if you're not registered, they're going to try and get you out. School admissions. If you're not on the register, your kids can't go to school. Benefits. I don't know if you know, but very shortly, the City Council, not just Nottingham, but all councils around the country are taking over the DWP. The DWP will be no more. The City, or in Nottingham at any rate, the City Council will be giving any benefits out. So if you're on benefits and you're not on the register, you're not getting benefits. You're not getting anything. The City card, the leisure card and concessionary fares and passes. All these will be taken from you if you don't do as the dictator says. Where a service area considers at this stage that access to services cannot legally be linked to a residency check, this must be confirmed by legal services. So if there is uncertainty about this, please initiate discussion as soon as possible on this matter with your regular contact in legal services, as well as indicating your grounds for this view on the spreadsheet. Please do not use this as a justification for delaying return of this spreadsheet as scoping of a totally of the services involved in a prior activity. That's basically Nottingham City Council telling you we're implementing a dictatorship this year. The rest of the councils, if you're not from Nottingham, will be doing exactly the same. They're just trialling it in Nottingham first of all, then it will spread to the rest of you if we let them get away with this. I will pass these out. I have many other copies, not with me, this is the only copy I've got with me. I will pass it out. You can all read it at your leisure, but I feel many may want to read it. Is there any questions before I...
What are we going to do about it?
That's what we've got to decide. We can either roll over and let them get away with it, or we can fight it. One of the ways to fight it is publicising it, because if everyone knows what the plans are, they'll all be up in arms about it, and we can stop it, but only if we get the information out there. This is
this morning.
This is the so-called leader of the City Council in the middle there, and this is...
Are you talking about the #1 paedophile protector?
Exactly. This is Dave, fat boy. I won't mention his last name, but if you actually get to see him, I'll pass this round. He looks a hell of a lot like Cyril Smith, and I wonder if he's into the same sort of stuff.
I think I'm probably only going to know the answer to this, but is there any mention of, like, if you don't conform, like, what happens with your council tax? Do you still have to pay the council tax?
Right. As I said, the council will be taking over benefits. You won't get a choice if you're on benefits. You won't get a choice about
the council tax.
You won't get a choice about council tax. It will be deducted straight from your benefit before you get any money.
But what about if you don't get?
It'll stay the same. However, if you're not on the register, they probably will go after you. They're going to try and fine you. They're going to try and punish you any way they can, because whether you get it or not, we are in a dictatorship. These are just the final nuts and bolts to the actual dictatorship itself. This is how close we are. Right, I'm going to now pass this around. If you want to see it, read it as your leisure. I'll put it in the correct order and that little bit of them with it. I'll pass it out here if you want it. If you don't want it, pretty much what I've said. If you want to see it for yourself, read it. Any more questions before I hopefully move on? Hang on.
Forget my ignorance, but what is their main purpose of running to register?
Right. So I thought everyone knew this, but obviously not. They want you on the register. They don't give two hoots if you vote or not. They want you on the register, because if you're on the register, you agree with everything the government and the council are doing. If you're on there, that's your consent to them to do what they want.
Which is why I'm not on the register and a lot more people refuse to go on. But they try to make it like Australia, where they've already got. You've actually got to vote or you're fined.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
If you do not register, you could be liable for £1,000 fine.
I went to like post and voted there and I was on the run
Hang on, we're doing it in order.
You know, in my area, I think we're arguing with my council last year, they automatically put you on the register anyway there now, and you can't do nothing about it.
Well, you can do something about it, but let me just say they actually brought that initiative in Nottingham this year, where you're automatically put on the voters register whether you like it or not.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another thing here. The other reason they want you on the register is they sell that register.
Yes, absolutely.
The more money they can make.
They sell all your details and they make a fortune from it.
And they get money for you being on the register as well. It's like £900.
So I don't know if you all heard that, but the council actually gets something just under £1,000 for everyone that goes on the register, so it benefits them to get you on the register. That's why they're bringing these draconian tactics in to try and get all those that have woke up and realised that being on the register is just signing your life away to the corrupt government.
Okay, you're an asshole.
So if you're lucky enough to do that, they're going to try and fine you in some way. Although it doesn't say it in there, they will try and fine you. But again, they will need your name. Wendy, just a second. Wendy.
Under the, I think it's the 1994 Social Security Act, because it's a means-tested benefit, there's been a lot of talk about getting your bank charges back because you cannot take it. So therefore, how can they take something like council tax and stuff like that out of that same benefit?
Well, the problem you've got there is you actually think they give a shit. They don't care. They don't care if you starve, if you die in winter because you can't afford the heating. They don't care about any of that. In fact, it's one dead slave less to care about.
Let's just sack them all.
We've got to do that.
Before every genocide in history, there has been makings of this.
Yes, yeah. This is, although I don't believe Hitler was as bad as he's portrayed, he certainly may have done some dodgy things. I think he was fighting the banks, and that's why they destroyed Germany, they destroyed Hitler, and most of all, they raped all the Germans, the men, women and children. If you actually look into the real history of what happened in World War II, you'll find that the Allies were worse than the Germans ever were. But don't believe it. Look it up for yourself.
And how will that go with universal credit?
Hold it, one at a time, please.
And obviously, the one about the benefits, is this the reason why the universal credit's coming into place?
That's one of the reasons. They get it all together in one lump sum, they give it to the council then deduct anything they want. So, if you get fined for leaving your bin out, they just deduct it out of your next set of money. Simple. Yeah, there's no way you can stop it.
This universal credit, they said they're trying it in different areas. They put me saying, just because my postcode is NG102, that I've been put into this. They said universal credit is owned by the Money Advice Service, the MAR service, which is government run.
Right, I'll just tell you something that many of you may not know. DWP, although it is still up and running, if you're on any of that stuff, you're not on it with DWP. You're actually with a private company, and that is the only reason they can sanction you, because you're not with the DWP. They are incapable of sanctioning you, but the private company that you sign up to when they go down and get you to sign a new form, signs it over to a private corporation that can do what they like.
ATOS.
Yeah, and that's why they can sanction you. Any more? Yeah.